Alright, very small intro. This is going to be a commentary about how to untain the basics. It's going to go over traits, skills, utilities, and stuff like that. I hope I can explain it properly for you guys. I'm not that great at explaining, so I hope I can help and increase your knowledge and help you. And this video took a long time to edit, so we're going to appreciate the work in it. So let's get started. Alright, so we're gonna go with the trait line. I'm gonna go briefly over the trait line, explaining the traits and what each does very quickly. Not gonna try to go really deep into it, just to have the basic understanding. Okay, unleashed power. First of all, I will start by saying the Untamed specialization is tied to one specific mechanic, and this is the unleashed state. There are two states for this mechanic. There is Unleashed Ranger and Unleashed Pet. You will see later using the traits how they play with each other. So first of all, once you are unleashing your pet, its skills are becoming larger area of effect skills. It's replacing its current skills with generic ones that every pet will have. It's not different between the pets. Every pet will have the same 3 larger area of effect skills when the pet is unleashed. When you are unleashing yourself, which is Unleashed Ranger, you gain Unleashed Ambush skill, which is replacing the auto attack of your main weapon or two-handed weapon for a 4 seconds window. If you don't use it, it will just go back and be like, hey, okay, next time you do Unleash Ranger, it's gonna be up for you again, so you can use it. It's not going away, it's not wasting it. But if you do try to cast it, and you're getting interrupted or anything like that, it's gone. It's not going into cooldown of 3 seconds or anything like that, like normal skills that are being interrupted. It's just gone. It's going on full cooldown and it's gone. And the charge is gone. So be aware when to use it, how to use it, why to use it. Don't just instantly waste it, because it's a very powerful skill that varies between every weapon, such as some can give you bones, some can do immobilize, some can do a daze, some can do poison, some can do vulnerability, some can strip bones, and so on. Each weapon has its own variation, and each of them fills a different role. So be aware what weapon you use, what ambush skill it provides, so you can synergize with it. Debilitating blows. Okay, this is a trait with 1 second cooldown, so be aware that it cannot be applied instantly right after another. It has a 1 second cooldown between the applications. Pretty straightforward trait. Whenever you're disabling a foe, apply conditions to that foe based on your current state. What state is being spoken of? The Unleashed state, the main mechanic. So when Unleashed Ranger is disabling a foe, it applies 5 vulnerability for 6 seconds. Whenever Unleashed Pet state is on and you are disabling a foe, you apply weakness for 3 seconds. Be aware that this trait, and there will be another trait after that in the next column that is similar to that, but those 2 traits do not apply to your pet. Because when the pet does any kind of CC, it will not proc this trait. And the next trait that we will gonna talk about in the next column of traits. So be aware of that. Pet do not proc this type of trait. Nature's Shield. Not much to expand on this trait. Cantrips are the skill types that you're getting with the Untamed specialization. You have a cantrip heal, cantrip utilities, and a cantrip elite, which I will expand later in the skill section. Once you use a cantrip, you and your pet get barrier. The barrier varies around 1.7, lasting for how long the barriers last, I don't remember, 4 or 5 seconds, I don't remember, but that's what you're getting when you are using a cantrip skill. Blinding Outburst. Okay, this is a this is one of the strongest traits that Untamed has. It's the most tech trait in the first column, mostly especially by competitive modes. And this trait is making your pet F1, the unleashed pet F1, blind the enemy when it hits them. I don't remember if it's applying it to various foes, like to multiple foes at once, but basically it's blinding a foe. And it's very useful when you try to stomp, stop a CC, you know, anything that happens during the battlefield and you see you're being CC'd or whatever, and you see the enemy trying to do something, you can send your pet on him to blind him before it does it, so you're gonna avoid whatever it was trying to do. So it's really nice, very useful, and it's doing a damage increase, which varies between the modes, to your ambush, unleashed ambush skill, which brings more potential in the damage of the ambush skill. Natural Fortitude. Now this is a minor trait, pretty straightforward minor trait. You gain Vitality, unleashed ambush skill Siphon life if they hit, Siphon healing is reduced for each target socked behind the first, and cannot siphon the same target more than once per skill. What does it mean? So when you use your unleashed ambush skill, you're gonna siphon health from the enemies that you hit. You cannot hit more than once on the same target. Okay, so each target gets hit once, not more than that. Depending on the target cap of the ambush skill that you used, only once per the number of targets in there. The first target that is gonna get hit is gonna give you the vast majority of the healing, which varies around 1.7 in competitive modes. Every target after that is being hit is gonna get you around 300, and from there it's lowering down. The healing is getting reduced every time. Now, the life siphon damage, if I'm not wrong, correct me, I don't remember, I just don't look at it because it's a passive. It's not something that I control. And it's ignoring protection, armor, and any kind of damage reduction. That means the number that is in there, that's what it's gonna do. You can quote-unquote call it true damage. So it's in addition to the damage that the ambush skill does. It's not together with it, it's in addition. What does it mean? If your ambush skill done 5,000 damage, that's without the life siphon damage. The life siphon damage is separate. You're going to see it in the combat log as well. It's going to be separated from the main damage. You're going to see two lines from the same skill, but one of them is the damage that you done with the skill. The other one is the life siphon damage. Enhancing impact. So the same as debilitating blows, it has a 1 second cooldown, so you cannot chain the trait. You will have to wait for the cooldown for the application. And this one, compared to debilitating blows, is granting you boons instead of applying conditions on your foe. What does it mean? So when you CC a target, when you disable a target while you're Unleashed Ranger, you're getting quickness for a period amount of time. It varies between the modes, but you're getting quickness for a period amount of time. That means you can, if you go by the cooldown and you CC after the cooldown ends and you reapply, you can actually chain the quickness and make it longer and longer. The duration varies between the modes, but the duration is longer than the trait, so you can actually increase the duration and not just, start to end, start to end, start to end. When you disable a foe on Unleashed Pet, it will grant you 1 stack of stability. So I'm saying this once again, be aware, pet disables do not proc this trait. For example, a Chuck doing its P stability will not count for it. Gazelle doing its CC will not count for it. A Canine doing its CC or its knockdown, because there's a wolf that can do a CC with its P stability, and the Canines overall have a knockdown ability, a leap that does the knockdown ability. So Those do not proc this trait, so don't expect like, hey, my pet done a CC, why I didn't get stability or quickness or whatever. It would be, like, in my opinion personally, it would be too much overpowered that if your pet would do that, because you can stack those bones and applications very, very high if the pet would actually contribute to that. So in my opinion, it's a good thing. It does not sync with the pet, unless if the pet does it, it will be a reduced effect or anything, or maybe a different kind of bones and conditions. But overall, that is the trait. Cleansing Unleash. Now, this is my most favorite trait in the second column when it comes to competitive. Now, you can compare it to a Cleansing Sigil. Cleansing Sigil cleanses 3 conditions in a 9 seconds cooldown. That means when you swap weapon, you cleanse 3 conditions. Next time you swap a weapon, you will have it ready. Cleansing Unleash cleanses 2 conditions in a 10 seconds cooldown. Very close to it. Now you can say it's like another Cleansing Sigil for you, on demand. And why am I saying it on demand? Because there are a couple of rules for that trait. One, it will not be procced if you don't have a damaging or non-damaging condition on you. There has to be at least one condition, regardless of if it's a damaging or non-damaging condition. There has to be at least one condition on you for it to actually be procced and remove the condition. Okay, so if you are rotating between your Unleash states, it would not be procced if you don't have any condition. So you can be assured it will not waste it if you rotate between them while not having conditions. Second is you can remove it on demand. That means if you're fighting a Thief or Guardian or a Hollow or a Mesmer or whatever that can blind you, and you're now blinded, and you're like, okay, I'm blinded, I cannot attack, I need to wait or whatever, not necessarily true, because you can actually unleash as long as it's ready. You can look at the bar. In the latest patch, they finally added an indicator for it to indicate when it's ready to use. So you will see the trait icon on your Poon bar when it's ready to use. Now, that means that if you're blinded and you're starting an attack, you can unleash either Unleash Pet or Unleash Ranger, regardless. You just move to the other Unleash state from your current one to remove the blind before actually landing your attack. And that can be it can be very useful for a surprise attack, because most experienced people that they know they blinded the target, they would feel more secure, more confident, and more comfortable continuing the pressure or attack, or not even trying to dodge anything, because they know you're blinded and they know it's gonna miss. But you can surprise them by unleashing and removing that blind. Of course, it might not necessarily remove the blind because you have multiple conditions on you, but most of the time it will remove the blind and you're gonna land your attack. And that's a pretty nice surprise attack that you can do on enemies that do not expect it. And overall, it's a very nice trait to avoid staying crippled or staying immobilized or staying chilled or anything like that for a long duration. Corrupting Vines. Now, Rending Vines corrupts boons into conditions instead of removing them. Rending Vines is the Pet Unleash F2 ability. Now, Rending Vines normally removes 2 boons from the enemy, but this trait makes it be converted to conditions instead. For example, Swiftness gets to become a cripple, stability becomes fear if I'm not wrong, and so on. Unleashed Ambush skills remove boons from enemies, cannot affect enemies more than once per skill. This is a baseline to all Unleashed Ambush skills that you see a lot, cannot affect enemies more than once per skill. Same as the life siphoning damage from the ambush skill. So, what does it mean, Unleashed Ambush skill, remove boons from enemies? Now, it removes 2 boons from the enemies, at least in competitive modes, only if you pick that trait. Greatsword Ambush has in its baseline removal of 2 boons. That's the ability that it does, compared to the others where they can daze or cripple or whatever. This one removes 2 boons from the enemy. That means if you pick this trait alongside the Greatsword would remove 4 boons instead of the baseline 2 that it had. Any other ambush skill will remove 2, only 2, in addition to the other effects that it's already doing. So this trait line is very good with the Greatsword, and this trait line is very recommended on a group play. For a group play, very recommended. It's much more useful than the other 2 traits that you can pick, which are Enhancing Impact and Cleansing Unleash, when it comes to a group play. Because you would want the ability to put conditions and remove condition and remove boons, from the enemy with your ambush skills while on a group play. Now that can variate between a very small scale and a larger scale group play. For example, if it's a 5v5, it very depends what your party offers, because maybe you will need that Condi removal from the Cleansing Unleash. Maybe you won't. Maybe you want more Boon Strip with the Corrupting Vines instead. So it's going to help your team focus on the target, for example, or call attacks on targets. On larger scale, I would recommend Corrupting Vines. You will not need the Condi removal. I would suggest Corrupting Vines. Enhancing Impact is not really useful for almost any mode. It's very unreliable, let's call it that way, and it offers a bit less than the others to actually make it a pick over the others. You're gonna have to give up most likely damage or anything like that to make Enhancing Impact worth more than Cleansing Unleash and Corrupting Vines. But in my opinion, Cleansing Unleash top priority for roaming and any small scale that you know you don't have good cleanse or anything like that. And Corrupting Vines is the top pick for group play when you don't need cleansing and it's not roaming. That's at least my opinion. It can variate between the weapons that you use and the actual build that you play, but that is my own personal opinion. Vow of the Untamed. Now, this is a minor trait. Pretty straightforward according to the description that you see line by line. Each line represents the unleashed state that you are on. Your outgoing strike damage is increased while you are unleashed. That means you are unleashed is Unleashed Ranger. You take reduced damage from strikes while your pet is unleashed. That means Unleashed Pet state. Pretty straightforward, not much to talk about. It varies, the values variate between the modes, between the various game modes, but when you unleash yourself you do more damage, when you unleash your pet you take less damage. Straightforward, not much to expand. Let Loose. Okay, this is my favorite trait in the third column, and it is the most picked trait when it comes to competitive, especially said by the community as well. It's the only trait that is worth picking in this column, if I'll be honest with you. Nothing compares to it, nothing as strong as it, and this one has no cons, really. It's just improving your gameplay. The way that it works is Unleashed Ambush grants boons to nearby allies. Now in PvE it also grants quickness, but in competitive modes it only grants might. It grants you 3 might for 8 seconds. Refresh Unleashed Power when you swap weapons. Unleashed Power is what grants you the ambush skill. This one has a cooldown of 15 seconds. Now that means when you use your ambush skill you have a 15 seconds cooldown until the next time that the ambush skill would be ready to use. This trait allows it to go into a 9 seconds cooldown. That means if I use my ambush skill and I swap weapon, I will have another ambush skill. If I was an Unleashed Ranger and I use my ambush skill and I swap weapon, immediately the auto attack of that weapon set that I swapped to will turn into an ambush skill. And you don't have to use it immediately. The same principle applies even though the trait got activated. You have a 4 second window for the ambush skill. If you move to Unleash Pet, it will put it on the side and say, hey, you have an ambush skill ready. Next time you Unleash Ranger, we're going to have it. So you don't have to immediately use it, but it depends on what situation that you're in. Just remember, it's not because it got blocked from this trait, it's behaving different. It's behaving the same way. It's just that every time that you swap weapon, it's going to refresh the cooldown of unleashed power. Biorhythm. Okay, so I've done this take over 10 times also, I don't remember. Every time on average it took me at least 15 minutes to explain this trait, so I'm gonna try to explain it in a better way so you will understand without getting carried away, because I am getting carried away a lot and I'm being distracted. This entire commentary is without a script or anything, everything is on my mind, so I hope you can understand what I'm trying to pass here, the information that I'm trying to pass here, because I'm really bad at making scripts, so I'm just improvising and saying everything on the fly from my mind. So I'm gonna explain the trait, and then I'm gonna show you examples. Okay, so the trait, it says on the wiki 2%, but in the game it's 3%, and the way that it works is when you unleash, you gain a biorhythm stack. Okay? Now, the effect is starting for 4 seconds once you unleash, and every interval you're getting a biorhythm stack. So once you unleash, you get 1 biorhythm stack, and then the interval kicks in for 4 seconds. Every second, you're getting a biorhythm stack. So in total, you're gonna have 5, okay? Because it's 1 for every second of the duration and 1 when you unleashed, okay, to start the entire thing. So you can get maximum 5 biorhythm stacks. Now, a biorhythm stack on itself as 1 stack, it makes 3% of the healing of your outgoing attack damage. Like if you done 10 damage, you're getting healed for 3% of that. So every biorhythm stack is going to increase it by 3%. That means in total you're going to have 15% healing, okay, from your damage. And I've tested it out, and it is 15%. The damage that I've done, 15% is really what I got as healing. So I guess the wiki is, I don't know if the wiki is bugged or what the hell is going on, but it is 3%, at least in World vs. World. And the stacks are fading out after 6 seconds, okay? Each on his own. That means that when you start unleashing, the stacks are ramping up. And every second they're ramping up. That means that when you reach 5 stacks, you have those 5 stacks for 2 seconds maximum, and then they start fading out and they go away. Okay? Every time you unleash, you are resetting the biorhythm stacks. Okay? It doesn't matter how many stacks you had and when. Every time you unleash, you reset the biorhythm stacks. Alright? Now, when you unleash at minimum 5 stacks biorhythm, like they ramp up, they reach 5. Now it doesn't matter if they start going down from here and vanish or not, as long as it reached 5, the next time you unleash, you gain Valve the Untamed for 10 seconds. Now Valve the Untamed is a minor passive that says if you unleash, you do 20% more damage. If the pet is unleashed, you take 15% less damage. But this trait makes you get that passive for 10 seconds with both bonuses, okay? You get both the damage output and the damage reduction, okay? It doesn't matter which unleash state you're on, you're getting both bonuses from that passive when you have that buff. Alright, so now that you have the buff, if you unleash before reaching 5 stacks of biorhythm, you will lose the buff. You will lose Valve the Untamed. Okay? It's behaving the same way as the biorhythm stacks. They're being removed every time you unleash. But if you unleash after you got at least 5 stacks of biorhythm, Valve the Untamed will be refreshed. Okay? You cannot continuously stack the duration. It would be refreshed. So you can have 100% uptime. Okay, I've talked with Roy about it. You can have 100% uptime duration on it because it overrides it every time. It does not stack it. And the only way to achieve it is by at least unleashing every 5 seconds. You can unleash beyond that, but at least at 5 seconds. Okay? So that is the explanation, a fast explanation about the biorhythm. I didn't want to get carried away with this. Now I will show you the behavior. Okay? So here we are. Now I will unleash. I'm getting biorhythm stacks, okay? They're ramping up. At 5, if I will unleash, I will get vow of the Untamed, okay? I will continuously get vow of the Untamed as long as at least it reach 5. You see, it reached 5 and then it's fading out, so I can unleash and gain it again. And it doesn't matter when I unleash as long as it reach 5. Like if it's gonna go now to 4, 3, I unleash, I keep getting vow of the Untamed. But if I unleash before reaching 5, vow of the Untamed is gone, okay? I'm getting it again, I unleash before 5, it's gone. Now look at the biorhythm stacks as well. The biorhythm stacks are resetting regardless how many there were, they constantly reset. Okay? So it doesn't matter how much you had and when, they will constantly reset when you unleash. The only thing that doesn't reset is the vow of the Untamed in terms of not being removed. Okay? When you unleash at least at 5, you're gonna gain vow of the Untamed again, even if you had it. If you unleash below 5 stacks, you're not gonna refresh it and you're gonna lose vow of the Untamed. Okay? Now a quick talk about a fast talk about the sustain part of it. Okay? The sustain part of it is really good. This is, in my opinion, a bruiser trait. Okay, it really fits a bruiser, and I can really see it playing out. But the behavior of it is a bit harsh. Like it's forcing you to get used to a playstyle of unleashing every 5 seconds at least, in the bare minimum, to benefit as much as you can, to actually gain vow of the Untamed and to try and benefit from the maximum biorhythm stack so you can heal for 15%. You can heal for 12% as well, but you know, 15 is just higher. And the thing is, it can get really nasty with the healing, okay? I'm gonna show you a few clips unleashing with Spear using the ambush skill on when I have 5 stacks of biorhythm, and when I'm using it with mace on the ambush of the mace and flourish of the mace. The healing can get really nasty. Let's talk a bit about numbers, okay? The ambush itself heals you for like 1700, okay? Every ambush does that. That's the life siphoning damage that heals you, okay? You're getting healed from that. Now, because you do the life siphoning damage, 15% of that is also converted to healing. Okay? So that's one. So multiply that by the amount of targets that you hit. So getting 15% of that for every target. And now you do the damage of the ambush itself. Let's say it done 4k damage, okay? 4k damage. That's 600 healing. Now, if you hit 5 targets, we're talking about 3k without the life siphon healing, okay? Without the hard-coded value of the life siphon healing that comes from the ambush trait, right? It's coming from natural fortitude. So that is a lot of healing. We're talking about 3k if you hit 4k on 5 targets. And then you have the 1.7 from the ambush itself, and then you have 300 for every extra enemy that you hit, which is getting reduced every time, right? So we're talking about a potential 5k healing, and that's before the spores. If you have an ambush such as spear, such as sword, such as greatsword, such as hammer, that spawns spores below you after you use the ambush skill and you hit, the spores will heal you as well. because they're still in the range of the ambush of the biorhythm stacks range, right? If you casted them as soon as it reached 5, you casted the ambush skill, they're still gonna proc within the 5 stacks of the biorhythm, 5 or 4 stacks of the biorhythm. So you're getting healed a lot. And the tests that I've done were like, okay, I'm half of my HP, I'm like 8 or 10k out of like 20. And I'm almost healing for full HP from that. I'm almost healing half of my HP pool with a single ambush on 5 targets. And that's without actually using food and having might and modifiers and things like that. It's just a single hit. No opening strike in the variation, no nothing. Just straight up this hit. So we're talking about a lot of healing, okay? And that can get really nasty really fast. I'm gonna give you an example, Flourish and the ambush skill of the mace. They both have healing on their baseline, 750 for the ambush of the mace, and Flourish is healing you for 410 every hit, and it does 2 hits if you stay on the area. So you're getting by default 820 from Flourish and 750 from the ambush without anything else. Now, for the ambush, add to that the 1.7 from the ambush itself, the life siphoning healing, and then add the damage that you're doing, that you're converting 15% of it to healing. You can easily reach 10k even on that thing if you hit multiple targets. Flourish on a single target can heal you for like 2400 or something like that if you do 4k damage with both hits. That's a lot of healing. Okay, so it has potential to be a great sustain method, but you're gonna have to play around with it, because like I said, it changes a bit the play style, it changes how you play, how you flow with your gameplay. I'm unleashing a lot because of Let Loose, but because of this trait, it will change my play style, and I will have to get used to it. I will have to change my mindset. So try to use it, see how it goes, because not necessarily it was going to work for the first time, and you're going to have to get used to it. And you know, maybe the enemy that you're facing is a bad target to practice on for the first time. So try it out, try to play with it and see if it works for you, because the healing potential in there is really high, and I can really see something going with it. Although there are better alternatives like Let Loose and Ferocious Symbiosis, but I really think it has potential if you can really actually make it work properly, if you can master it, let's call it that way. So I'm gonna end it here, because I don't want the section of this trade to be way too long. We're already getting close to like 13 minutes, and I don't want to reach 15 minutes plus again. So I'm just gonna cut it here. Rewind this section if you want to re-watch it, and try it again if you didn't understand anything. I hope I covered it all, but let's just get going. Ferocious Symbiosis. Now, this is not my cup of tea. I don't like this trait. I don't find it reliable, at least in competitive modes. In PvE, yes, I understand the pick, but in competitive modes, I don't see the reason to pick this. This trait, basically what it does is, whenever you attack, you grant your pet the Ferocious Symbiosis stack. When the pet attacks, actually lands a hit, you get the Ferocious Symbiosis stack. Now, you can get up to 5 stacks maximum. Each stack lasts for 5 seconds. Maybe it varies between the game modes, but it lasts 5 seconds. Each stack gives damage increase and movement speed increase. Movement speed is always 5% per stack. The damage varies between the game modes. That means in PvE it might be 5, World World is 3, SPP it's 2. That means multiply that by 5, that's the maximum that you can get. So in World World you can get 15% damage and 25% movement speed. Now where is the thing that I don't like about it? If your pet dies, the trait is dead. Nothing can proc it. You attacking the target doesn't do anything because the pet is dead. It doesn't matter if it has the stack or not, it's dead. And if the pet is dead, it means it can't attack, and you're not getting any stacks. So if the pet is dead, the trait is dead. Not that hard to understand. It's not useful. I don't see the use for it, because your pet can die a lot. A good player that knows that you're not running a heavy pet, such as the gazelle or a turtle, it knows it can be bursted, especially if it's a condi user. And if it's gonna fill your pet with condis, or actually burst it down, like, you know, hiding behind something and then bursting your pet down because you did not call it back and you did not pay attention to your pet, it can kill the pet pretty quickly. And then the trait becomes useless. Now you are with no Grandmaster trait. In my opinion, that's a major con, and I don't see how it can be better than Let Loose, for example. I don't really see the usage of it. In SPVP, I can understand that it might be more useful, because in there it's more close combat. You don't have, like in Warlords World, an open field to kite around. You have to fight on a node or anything like that. So it's a more contained environment where the pet can actually grant you the stacks in a, you know, good duration. And maybe even less kiteable. You know? Pet dying, not that easy as in Warlords World. Because in Warlords World you can reach very broken builds where the pet can melt almost instantly. In SPVP, it's a little bit different. You don't have the freedom in SPVP as much as you have in Warlords World when it comes to build varieties. So in SPVP, it might have some place, but still, I do not see the use of it in Warlords World. Let Loose is just better. Provide sustain, good damage spike, not relying on the clunky AI. Pretty simple. Alright, so we're gonna talk a little bit about the skills, the Unleash Pet skills. I'm gonna expand a bit on them. About the hammer skills, because they are different on Untamed compared to the other specs. And I am going to talk a little bit about the healing skill, utilities, and the elite, because after all, Untamed is an elite spec and it gets one of those two. So let's get started. Now we're gonna start with the Unleash Pet skills. And starting off with the F1, the first ability is called Venomous Outburst. Now you must be remembering that kind of name because of the trait Blinding Outburst, which causes Venomous Outburst to do more damage and to apply blind in addition to its effects. So what is Venomous Outburst? Venomous Outburst makes your pet teleport to the target and just explode with poison around it. Now what happens is, because of Blinding Outburst, it will also apply a blind to anyone it hits as well, up to the same amount of targets that Venomous Outburst is applying to. It's basically tying itself into it. It's not like, oh, because I used it and it's most likely gonna blind like a person and that's it. No, it's just adding the blind to the skill. So if the skill spreads the poison to like 5 targets, then the blind will do so as well. Like whoever got blinded will get poisoned as well, and so on. And the Unleash Pet abilities also have a second functionality. Every single one of them applies or at least does an additional effect when the target is disabled. In this case, this one does vulnerability. It applies vulnerability to whoever is CC'd, and it needs to be CC'd before it hits, obviously. And this is a very nice way to continue applying vulnerability on the enemy, and also to keep your pet on them, as well as other users. After I will reveal the other Unleash Pet skills, you will see other users that this actually have. And that's basically it for Venomous Outburst. Pretty straightforward, low cooldown, and very useful. Rending vines. Now this unleash pet ability is the second ability. This is the F2 by default. Now what this does, this is a blast. Okay, this is a blast finisher. It does not say so on the tooltip, but there is a small delay once you use it. Okay, just to have that out there. There is a small delay once you use it until it actually blasts. You will see that it like erupts and then blasts. Now what this does, this basically makes the pet burst and explode, let's call it that way. And by default, it's removing 2 boons. All right. Now, you remember it from the other trait that corrupting vines, if I'm not wrong, is the name of the trait. And what this does is saying, okay, the pet does not only remove boons, it will also convert those boons into conditions. By default, removes boons. If you take the trait, it will cause the boons that got stripped to turn into conditions instead. It will convert them. So if you take that trait, it will improve this unleashed pet skill. Now, the second functionality that this ability has is slowing the target. And it's not only one target. Also, the boons that are being stripped, it's not from one target. It's a target cap of 5. Okay? So take that in mind, that it's not like one person. It's if you toss it into a group, it can strip up to 10 boons. And if the target, whichever target is CC'd, and the pet hits with its blast, with the rending vines on it, will get slowed for 4 seconds. Now this is a very powerful slow. There are some kind of other sources where Ranger can get slow, such as the dagger, such as muddy terrain, such as the natural convergence, I think it's called, the celestial avatar form of druid. That's a pulsing one, the same as the muddy terrain is a pulsing one. That is a survival utility and also a trait, a minor. It's not a minor, but it is a trait that it will cast lesser muddy terrain in wilderness survival. And you have a pet that can do the slow, which they added recently. The Gentili bee. The Gentili bee will toss honey, and this also slows. So not much of sources for Ranger to gain slow, and this is a very good one. If you don't use a dagger, if you picked the Untamed, you cannot have the Celestial Avatar. And if you don't pick the bee, if you don't use Muddy Terrain or Wilderness Survival and picking that trait, this is one of the sources you can gain a slow. So pretty useful, pretty strong. I highly recommend using it on a CC target. Normally I use it for blasting, but whenever I see a target such as a Harbinger, a Guardian, an Ellie, I try to remove their boons. Not necessarily on when they're CC'd, I try to remove their boons. So take in consideration it's a very powerful skill, but you need to time it. Alright? Enveloping Haze. Now, this is one of my favorites. This is the F3 Unleashed pet skill. Now, first of all, this is a poison field, a portable poison field. Runs around with the pet. What this does is creating a dome around the pet, and basically it's just on it. So wherever the pet goes, that dome follows. This dome blocks projectiles. So if you see like a ranger or anything with projectiles, you can just combo it, like I said earlier, with Venomous Outburst. You can use it with the other skills. You can just combo it with Venomous Outburst by just teleporting it to the enemy and just activating Enveloping Haze, which just creates the bubble around the pet, but the pet is next to the enemy. So basically the bubble is on the enemy, so the enemy cannot shoot you as long as the projectiles are coming out from that place. Because if it's like something that it's something that spawns in an area where they can spawn it outside of the bubble before it turns into a projectile, then yeah, that's a problem. But overall, like if it's a ranger with a longbow and he tries to rapid fire you, or number 3, number 4, like point blank shot, or just auto attack, you can just teleport with the bubble to him, and now it's on him, and he cannot shoot you unless he activates Signet of the Wild, which gives him unblockable, which will cause the shots to go to the bubble, because unblockable will pass anything that reflects or blocks projectiles. So be aware of that. So if you put the bubble, but the person has unblockable, it won't help you. Just be aware of that. Now, the bubble exists for 5 seconds. The second ability that it has, the second functionality, is if it hits a CC target, it will pulse chill on them. Okay, it's just 1 second chill, but as long as they're CC'd, the chill will continue being applied. So normally I don't really care much about the CC functionality because it was very small. I use it just for defense, as putting the bubble on myself, like if I tell the pet to come back to me and I put the bubble on myself and I walk around with the pet, so I'm being protected. Or if I'm engaging a target that has projectiles, such as for example a Harbinger overall an Echo with a pistol, or a Harbinger with the Shroud 2 and the auto attacks, they are projectiles. So basically you just try to close it on them and just make them feel useless with it while you attack them, or try to kite around. Very powerful skill, very nice, and I highly recommend use it only when you need it and not just randomly, because sometimes you would be like, god damn, I wish I had Enveloping Haze right now. So make sure that you use it in the right times. 25 seconds cooldown is not easy. And one more note on overall the Unleash skills, the Unleash pet skills. If the pet dies, the Unleash skills go on cooldown of 3 seconds when you try to use them, because they are still available when the pet dies. But if you click on them, they will not do anything, and they will act like they were interrupted. They will go into a 3 seconds cooldown, so be aware of that. Alright, the hammer, I'm gonna talk very quickly about the hammer because it's a ranger weapon and not anymore only untamed weapon. So very quickly about the hammer. The hammer, if you do not take untamed, when you pick a hammer, you can choose which version of the hammer skill you want to have. Once you enter combat, you cannot change them, only outside of combat. So you can say, oh, I want the unleash of this one, I want the non-unleash of this one, and so on. But if you pick Untamed, Unleash Ranger will give you the Unleash versions of the hammer skills, and the Unleash Pet will give you the non-Unleash version of the hammer skills. So be aware which Unleash state you're on, so you will know the hammer skills that you're gonna have and when to use them. So you can swap accordingly to the state that you want to use the skills of. Alright, so about this one, I'm gonna talk quite fast, so slow down the video if you want, because I don't want to get too deep into the utilities and skills. But let's start off with Perilous Gift, the healing skill. First of all of the Untamed healing skills and utilities are cantrips. Cantrips have a relic and a trait that relates to them, Relic of the Deadeye. Cantrips give you extra damage. They cause a buff that makes you do extra damage, increased damage basically, And I don't remember if there are any other relics for cantrips, but there is the Untamed trait that gives you barrier when you use a cantrip. We went through it on the trait section. You can go back and check it out. It's the second trait on the first column. And I don't really like that healing skill that much, alright? I don't really like it, and I will explain why. First, I will explain how it works and compare it to the other healing skills, okay? Alright, so this healing skill, when you use it, it puts a buff on you that makes it that you're taking minus 100% incoming condition damage and normal incoming damage, physical damage and such, that is not condition. That means if you have condis on you, it will not do any damage to you. You can see in my bomb videos that there are a lot of red zeros when I activate Perilous Gift. That is because I'm not taking any damage. It's prevent me from taking any damage even though I have conditions on me and other stuff hit me. And for relics and things like that, it doesn't count. Once you activate the healing skill, it doesn't count as proccing those relics. It only counts when its effect ends. Okay, the effect is 3 seconds. When the effect ends, you are being healed. That's when the activation actually starts of the healing skill itself. So for relics or anything like that, it will proc only there. You can check that out. You can see it also with the trait. The trait that gives the barrier, it says when you use a cantrip, you're getting a barrier. But for this one, only when the effect ends, it actually gives you the barrier, because that's when the heal actually activates. It actually heals you. Alright, so if you use this healing skill while Unleash Ranger, you gain super speed for 3 seconds. If you use this healing skill as Unleashed Pet state, you're gaining 1 stack of stab for 3 seconds. Notice that Unleashed states can be swapped without casting, although they have 1 second cooldown, but they don't have any casting. That means while you're casting this healing skill, you can swap an Unleashed state. So basically, if you are on Unleashed Pet and you want the super speed, while casting your Perilous Gift, you can swap to another Unleashed state, so you're gonna get what you want before it finishes casting. Alright, so that's pretty okay. I like that kind of synergy between them. Now, the heal that it gives you is based on a percentage of your missing health. What does it mean? First of all, the percentage varies between the modes, and it's 33% in World vs. World. So if we take, for example, 20,000 HP maximum health pool, okay? And you are missing that 20,000, okay? Because you are on 1 HP. You got lucky, you survived with 1 HP. I've been in cases like this, and I've seen cases like this. So what happens is you are missing, let's round it up, for 20,000 HP. Now we're gonna heal for 33% of that. What does it mean? You're healing for 6,600 while you're at 99.99 something missing HP. Okay? That's what you're missing. You're missing so much of your HP, and you're only healing for 33% of that. 6,600 for 20,000 HP. That is bad. That is low, and this healing skill offers much less than any other healing skill that a ranger has, especially when it comes to synergy between other healing skills. Okay? Let's take, for example, first of all, this healing skill is 30 seconds cooldown. That's a lot for what it offers. Okay, I would be okay with that if it was like 20 seconds. I would most likely be fine with it and maybe even run it as well. But it doesn't have much synergy compared to the rest, and I will explain. The Wilderness Survival, the Survival healing skill, has synchronization with, it has some synergy with Wilderness Survival Traitline and with the Grandmaster trait, Wilderness Knowledge. Okay, so when you use it, you are not only gaining Fury, you're removing 2 conditions from you. It's pretty nice. Okay? Now, I won't say the name of it because I always mispronounce it, but that Wilderness, that Survival healing skill is, once you activate it, it lasts for 8 seconds. Every second, it heals you for 1k. So meanwhile, also the cooldown goes down, so It's pretty nice. It heals you for 8k. Okay, that offers already 1,400 more than this. And it's passive. You just activate it and continue doing what you're doing. You don't need to worry. So it's pretty nice, and it has some synergies here and there. We Heals 1 is the command healing skill. Now what it does is copies, first of all it heals you for like 6,000 and something, which is very close to this. But be aware, notice that it copies every boon that your pet has to you. It has some specific durations for every boon, so it won't be like, hey, I have 10 seconds of stab on my pet, so I'm gonna copy the stab for 10 seconds as well. No, there is a predetermined duration for every boon in there, so we're gonna copy it for that specific amount of time, but you will copy the real amount of stacks. For example, if you had 5 stacks on your pet and you use the healing skill, you're gonna get 5 stacks, but for the duration specified on the healing skill. Okay? The highest one in there, I think, is Might, on 8 seconds. So it's pretty nice. It offers pretty nice because it's copied boons. That's a lot of value. But it has 2 traits that it can synergize with. First of all, Beast Mastery. Command will cause a regen and swiftness to you and the allies around you. It will give you 10 seconds of regen and might when you use a command skill. It doesn't matter which. Okay, that's 1. Number 2 is you have a nature magic, a minor trait, that every boon that you get, exactly the same stacks and exactly the same duration that you get, is copied to the pet. So let me give you another synergy that you can do with it. Marksmanship, Clarion Bond trait, when you swap pet, it casts Lethal Call of the Wild, okay? Which grants Fury, Might, and Swiftness. Now, if you swap pet and you trigger it, the pet gets those boons, and in general, okay? If you use the healing skill, you copy what it got. So technically, you're getting double Lesser Call of the Wild. But not the exact durations, because like I said, the healing skill gives you a lower duration. It depends on the boons, but lower durations. It's predetermined durations. But the might is being in a good duration, so it's really worth for might stacking. Now, if you run the nature magic trait line as well, because you got Lesser Call of the Wild on you, the pet will get the same as well. So technically, the pet got double. Okay, it got it doubled. So if then you use We Heal as 1, you're getting triple stacks of might, triple the amount of stacks. You're getting Fury and Swiftness in addition, and of course the durations are determined by the healing skill. So this is pretty nice. That's a lot of value that you can play around with. But Perilous Gift doesn't offer that kind of synergy with other useful traits. It's just not worth it. I don't really see the worth of it. Maybe in group play where you're like, I just want to smash things faster. Well, not faster. Super speed is not making you hit faster, but run faster. But overall, not take any damage or anything. Or you're stuck in a very bad situation, so you activate it to absorb the damage or anything like that. For example, you're in a GVG, let's say, for example, and you're being immobilized, and suddenly you're being targeted. So you are using that heal to not get killed. Okay, that's pretty much it. You can see it in my bomb builds and stuff like that I'm using it, so I will survive longer. I'm only using it not to heal. I'm using it to absorb damage, to survive longer, so I can continue the rotations of my bomb, or to try and get out. That's why I'm using it, not because it's a healing skill. Okay, not because it's healing, because it doesn't give much. So I'm sorry for mumbling and rumbling for 10 minutes. I wanted to make it short, but I had to explain this healing skill because I see a lot of people see it and they're saying, wow, that's really good, it's so strong. And I've seen videos about people when they done the review for Untamed and all those kind of videos, and they're saying the sustain of this healing skill is insane. No, it's bad. It's bad. You don't know what you're talking about. It's horrible. No one is using it, and whoever is using it is not using it to survive. He's using it to last for those 3 seconds and hoping it's gonna kill the enemy, because the heal that it gets is so bad that it's not worth it. It's seriously, when someone uses that healing skill, I just wait with my burst. When it ends, I burst them and kill them, because why would I attack them in there? It's a waste of time. It's also, like I said, there's no synergy between the stuff with it, so I know they're not gonna get any much value except just not taking damage for 3 seconds. That's it. It's like a minor endure pain. It's very bad as a healing skill, and it's very bad sustain, and that's why almost no one uses it, except maybe tower rangers, because they're anyway built to, if you look at them, they die. So sorry for mumbling and rumbling, I had to clarify stuff about this skill, okay? Exploding spores. Now, this skill is basically a, how can I call it? It's like you send and forget. You're not supposed to stay on it or wait for it or anything like that. You just use it and you continue on with what you're doing. But you need to pay attention to how you use it, where you use it, and why you used it. Now let's start a bit with what it does. Alright, so once you use it, it creates 6 spores in like a ring, and they all simultaneously explode at the same time, although there is a delay. But when they explode, they remove bones from the target that they hit. Okay, you don't need to hit all those spores on an enemy to remove the bones. One spore touch is enough to remove bones from the enemy, and it removes 2 bones from the enemy. Okay, so potentially you can remove a lot of bones with it. All right, so the other effect that it does is if you hit all spores on a target, like for example there is an enemy in the exact middle of the skill, that means he's gonna get hit by all spores. But if I'm not wrong, they need to actually hit, and not some of them will get blocked or blinded or anything like that. They all need to hit. And if they all hit the target, that target will get knocked down for 2 seconds. Okay, I will show you an example video where I put it on golems, and the golem in the middle is gonna get knocked down compared to the rest where they're just gonna get hit but not gonna get knocked down. So that is something that is quite important, that if you CC the target or immobilized it, try to place the spores at the middle of the person. Try to stand on them and put it, so you're gonna be able to have a chance to have the second knockdown as well, to have a CC or anything on him in that time, which is gonna help you a lot. The spores do quite good damage. It can actually reach like 2k crit per spore. So if you have 6 of them, that's like 12k damage. And you know, it varies between the person if he has protection or not, and all those kind of variables that are running around. And the states for this spore are: when you are unleashed, the Unleashed Ranger, you gain 5 might when you use it. When your pet is unleashed, you gain protection when you use it. Okay, so that's a nice source of protection, but like I'm on and off about this specific utility all the time. Like I don't know, I want to use it, I don't want to use it. I don't know, because first of all, it's not a stun break or anything like that. It has good cooldown. Like 25 seconds is not that bad. Cast time is very low, a quarter of a second. Now, the thing is, I hate the idea that you get might for unleashing in there and protection in there, because if I really need to use it, but I am on Unleash Ranger, I don't want to delay everything I do by 1 second so I can unleash pet and use it for the protection. So that's something that a bit bugs me about it. And it's not that reliable, because as soon as you cast it, if the enemy is not CC'd or rooted or anything and is just running around freely around you, as soon as you cast it, it's easy to dodge. You just dodge away from the spores and not into them. You dodge away and you instantly got out of the range. And it's easy to counter, basically. It only works really good on those that are immobilized or CC'd already. other than that, like, yeah, you can jump into a group of people and just cast it and it's gonna hit people. But it's like when you are alone against a person or against two, it has a very high chance not to be that effective. So I don't know how I feel about it, but overall it is doing good damage. I like the protection format. It puts poison when it hits as well, because the spores, overall the spores when they explode, they put poison. So it's you can see it with the sword, you can see it with the various ambush skills that spawns spores. It will poison the people that they hit. And the removal bones is a very nice addition that they done, but still I have trouble saying this is worth over everything else. Okay, because when you run around, especially as power, protect me is like a must. You want protect me because it's a very, very, very good defensive skill. It's a stun break, 30 seconds cooldown, gives you barrier, gives you protection. It's very nice. It's one of the strongest utilities of a defensive utility the ranger has. So you automatically slot protect me on your build because of all of the advantages that it has. Of course, you cannot run it, right? There are builds that work without it, but this is a very, very strong utility. The other two are depending on what you run, right? So this one I'm having trouble saying, hey, this has a place in your slots. I'm really having trouble with this one. So maybe you should try it out and see for yourself if you like it or not. It's some kind of gameplay you need to adapt to. Mutate conditions. Now, I won't have much to show about this, right? I will just show the activation of it. But this is a stun break. This is a really good stun break. 30 seconds cooldown stun break. It's really nice. Sadly, it does not affect allies, like for example, protect me or anything like that, which could be very, very nice, very helpful. But it's not like it's horrible and catastrophe or anything like that, because it doesn't have it. But anyway, it's a break stun, 30 seconds cooldown, and it just converts all of your conditions into vulnerability. It doesn't matter how many conditions you have. As soon as you press that button, every single type of condition is converted to a vulnerability stack. That means if you have poison, weakness, and cripple, once you activate it, you're getting 3 stacks of vulnerability. Alright? It doesn't work as the stacks of the condition that you had are gonna turn into vulnerability stacks. That's too broken. Because if I have, for example, 10 bleed and 10 poison and I need to remove them immediately, it will not turn into 20 vulnerability. It will turn to 2 vulnerability, because the description of it is self-vulnerability per condition, not per every single condition stack you have. It's per condition, and a condition is a type, okay? It's categorized with types. And the thing is, you will only suffer for maximum the amount of conditions possible, the amount of conditions that there are. If there are, for example, I'm trying a number 12, the maximum vulnerability you're going to have is 12. So it's really nice. It's not making you that insanely vulnerable, right? It's only lasting for 6 seconds. And depending on your unleashed state, you're going to get boons accordingly. Unleashed Ranger is going to get Fury. Unleashed Pet is going to get Vigor. In my opinion, it doesn't matter. Those don't really matter. The entire strong point of it is being a low cooldown stun break and the ability to remove all conditions from you, converting all conditions from you. The Fury and the Vigor are not important at all, in my opinion. They have no place in the calculation of anything in this. They're just a side, okay, here are buffs. So this is a very strong utility, very recommended. If it fits if you're lacking condition removal in your build, definitely slot this instead of anything else when it comes to condition removal. Not even the Signet of Renewal or whatever it's called, the green signet that puts all the conditions on your pet, because if your pet dies, the signet does nothing. When you activate it, the conditions don't have anywhere to go because it goes to your pet, and then it grants it resistance and I think resolution for a period amount of time because you used it and gave the pet the conditions. So if the pet is dead, the conditions will not go anywhere. So this is a better alternative because it's the same cooldown. If I'm not wrong, the signet is the same. Maybe the signet is 35 or something. But this is a low cooldown, break stun. You also gain boons because you used it, and it doesn't really have a con of when you gain the vulnerability. It's not really a con in my opinion. So this has the upper hand in my opinion when it comes to a button that removes condies. Unnatural Traversal was one of my favorite utilities. Now let's start. Let's start a little bit with explaining what it was and what it is now. It used to not have a cast time, so you could be able to combo with it. And what I believe, at least most of the community might agree, at least in SPVP, how it worked is people would run around with a Drake, a pet Drake, and they would combo this utility with using it on an enemy right before using Hilt Bash, the Greatsword 5, and immediately swapping pet and using the tail swipe of the Drake, which will do massive amount of damage in a fraction of a second because you're literally teleporting while casting Hilt Bash, so the enemy can't stop that unless he sees you doing the Hilt Bash and he predicts it. And then they give it a cast time. They didn't do anything else to it except just giving it a cast time. Okay, so let's talk a bit about what it does. Okay, so when you use it, you are teleporting to the enemy that you marked. You must have a target to teleport to. Okay, and once you teleport to the enemy, you're putting vulnerability on them. 10 stacks of vulnerability. Now, if you actually hit them and put vulnerability on them, the cooldown of this utility is reduced by 50%. The cooldown is 40 seconds. So if you hit the enemy, you're reducing it by half. Okay? That's a 900 range teleport with a 240 radius of hit. And it only hits one enemy, if I'm not wrong. Unless, no. Well, it actually says making nearby enemies vulnerable. It doesn't say a target cap, so I'm assuming it's 5, I assume, because it doesn't say a target cap. So I can assume it's 5. And the thing is, if you don't hit an enemy, you are not getting the cooldown reduction. So it's going to be on full 40 seconds cooldown. Now, the strong part about it is if you unleash Ranger, you're getting quickness. If you unleash Pet, you're getting regen. Now, the regen is kind of meh, no one really cares, but the quickness is a strong part because quickness is a very strong boon. So it's really useful to close gap on the enemy while having also quickness so you can strike them fast and attack them. Or maybe cast a heal or anything like that. So that's basically the entire utility. Now, mostly people don't use it at all anymore, just because of the cast time. Remove the cast time and people will start using it all the time. Because it was very unique and fun to use it with combos. The ability to just chain something with it while you're teleporting. And a little bit of rant here, because in my opinion, whoever decided to do this nerf has no idea about the game, has no idea what the fuck he's playing, he has no idea how the game works and how any of the classes even function. Because if the claim for that nerf, specifically only if that's the case, if the claim for the nerf is because you could not react, because that's what I've seen in the forums when people complained about it, and that's what I've seen in the forum over the years, that people complain that there is no counterplay to it. You cannot avoid not getting hit by it and instantly stunned and getting one shot and things like that. But if you played more than like if you played in competitive on War vs. World more than total 20 hours in the game, you would understand that other classes can do more than that very, very easily. I'm gonna give you an example. Take a Guardian with a hammer, for example, and he's using his Banish, which is number 4, hammer 4, the one that knocks you away, launch you to Narnia. Now, a Guardian has multiple teleports. Some of them are with no cast time. For example, one of his utilities is Judgment Intervention. And you can pretty easily combo it with anything you want. Hammer 5, the ring, you can, while casting it, or your hammer 4, the banish, while casting it, you Judgment Intervention into the enemy, and poof, you comboed it. You successfully recreated Unnatural Traversal. Amazing, right? Until to this day, he doesn't have a cast time. A Mesmer can literally teleport on you, okay, and almost instantly burst you with the utility that clones himself to 2, that spits out 2 clones. He doesn't have a cast time. Meanwhile, he's already casting Mirror Blade. Meanwhile, he's waiting for that to hit and instantly Mind Rack you. That's a one-shot. Go try it. Go look on YouTube for videos. That's one-shots. That you just gone in a fraction of a second. And they can still do that since the release of the game. And Untamed got that, and ANET was like, wait, he's having fun. We can't allow that. And they gave it the cast time. And now no one uses it, because it's useless with the cast time. Everybody can see you coming. Everybody can see when you're casting it. So everybody knows when to dodge or what to expect, like instantly stun you immediately before you reach them, because they know exactly when you're coming. But meanwhile, you have a lot of other classes that just press a button with no cast time and instantly teleport on you, which they can combo with anything they want. So if that's the real reason that there is no counterplay to it, you cannot predict when it's coming and all that crap for this cast time, if that's the reason for that, in my opinion, whoever decided for that nerf has no idea how the game functions. He doesn't play the game, he doesn't know what he's playing, and he doesn't even know how even anything works in the game. Because if since release so many classes can still do that, but Untamed got that nerf shortly after the expansion release because of a few crybabies that cried about it, that's sad. That's very sad. That is truly sad. This could give a lot of life to a lot of builds and a lot of gameplay. But since they removed it and they gave it the cast time, well, you're stuck with tower longbow rangers. You have the pew pew soul beasts that stand on a tower and never leave because you took fun out, and that's their only fun in their opinion, at least. Of course, I'm playing other stuff, but yeah, end of rant. Sad, very sad. It's a bit tragic, but I hope Unnatural Traversal will get some love back one day. At least I hope. Nature's Binding. This is one of my favorites. Now this is similar to the baby cage of the Dragon Hunter. Well, not really a Dragon Hunter. It's overall a Guardian Longbow 5. Longbow was a specific weapon for Dragon Hunter, but since the weapon mastery, the Guardian can use Longbow overall, just like Ranger can use Hammer, and so on. And this is very similar, except that it's melee compared to the range that the Guardian has with this Longbow. What the skill does is, when you finish casting it, you're putting a cage to anyone you struck. It's 5 targets in a 240 radius, but the cage itself is smaller. The cage is 120 radius. Okay, it's half of the attack radius. So when you cast it and you hit someone with it, there is a cage on them. Okay, and only enemies that were struck by this ability and it created a cage for them, they're the only ones that are gonna be affected by it. What does it mean? It means that if, for example, I have a person to my right and a person to my left, but the person to my left is either too far away or it dodged when I casted the cage, and the person to the right did not, the person on the right will get caged, and if he will try to get out, it will continue CCing him back, okay? Until the cage ends. The cage lasts for 4 seconds. Now, if the person on the left tries to go through the cage that is in there for the person on the right, it will not affect him. He can just go through it in and out freely, like it's never there. But the person on the right, if he puts stab, gets out of the cage, now the stab is gone, and he tries to go back through the cage, he will get CC'd by the cage. Even though he's out of the cage, he will still get CC'd. It's like bumping into the Staff 5 of Guardian, or Earth Staff 4, I think it is, of Elementalist. I don't remember which one, 3 or 4. That puts a line on the ground, and when you run towards it, you bump into it, and it moves you a bit back. So it's going to be the same behavior, and the thing is, you can play around with it as well. For example, you can try to combo it. You can try to force people to get CC'd. Once you put the cage, you try to, for example, launch them or push them towards the edges of the cage, so they're gonna get hit by the cage and they're gonna get CC'd on purpose. And it can synergize with multiple interactions. For example, with relics. So not relics. I'm not sure if there are relics about CC, but for example, sigils like absorption, celerity, and so on that are talking about CC. But you also have in your Untamed trait line, like we talked earlier, you have 2 traits. You have enhancing blows, and you have debilitating blows. Enhancing impact, I think it's called, not enhancing blows. But anyway, they're talking about when you CC a target, you do stuff. So that can synergize with it as well. And it's a very strong utility. Now, what are the effects that it gives you when you unleash between the states? Now, when your pet is unleashed, you're getting resistance. Okay? Really nice. That's 5 seconds resistance. That's a lot. Okay, you're getting resistance. So that's really nice when you don't really want to cage the person, but you want resistance, right? Unless also you're not blinded or anything, and you want to cage the person anyway, to maybe he has 1 stack of stabs, so you can play around it and try to get him CC'd. Or overall, you just want the resistance, right? It doesn't matter if you're blinded or not or whatever. You want the resistance because you're fighting something with a lot of mobs or anything like that. So you want the resistance. So that's a pretty great source of resistance. That's a lot of resistance duration. Okay, so that's one. When you unleash Ranger, you get 4 seconds of quickness. That's also a lot. Quickening Zephyr is something similar to that. And they're almost sharing the same cooldown, if I'm not wrong. This one shares a 35-second cooldown with a 750 millisecond cast time, which is 3/4 of a second. Okay, so this utility is very, very strong. I use it on my bomb build because, first of all, I use it to cage the enemy, so they can try and stay grouped up for the bomb, for the damage. I want it for the quickness, so I can attack faster. And also because I'm running Relic of the Deadeye, is to continue having the damage buff, because this is a cantrip after all. So it has synergy with a lot of stuff, a lot of things going on. And I think this utility is really strong. It's just that it's very hard to get the value out of it. It's very, very hard, because there are other picks that you can pick that are going to give you value, but this have a really, really strong value in group play. Very, very strong value in group play. And in my opinion, it's worth a watch. It's worth a try. And if you can implement it into your build and try to get used to it and get good with it, it's really worth your while. It can give really good value if you use it properly. Forest Fortification. Now that's a very strong elite. Okay, that is a very strong elite. This is a 90 seconds elite with 1 second cast time. Okay, But now you're hearing this and you're like, what, 90 seconds? That's a long cooldown. What the hell is this? Now let's explain how it works, and you're gonna understand why it's 90 seconds, okay? Okay, so the way it works is once you cast it, you're gaining defensive boons and damage reduction, okay? And if you, let's start with the unleash types first. When you unleash Pet, you gain Vigor for 6 seconds. If you unleash Ranger, you're getting super speed for 6 seconds. So first of all, that is really nice. I like access to super speed, okay? I don't like Vigor that much. Give me super speed. It's much better. So that's one. Now, what are the boons, the defensive boons and damage reduction that you're getting? You're getting 10 stacks of stab for 6 seconds. It's both for you and your pet, okay? It's not only you. Don't be selfish. 10 stacks of stability for 6 seconds. Resistance for 6 seconds. Resolution for 6 seconds. And the buff Force Fortification for 6 seconds, which reduces incoming damage by 50%. Now it says incoming damage. If I'm not wrong, because it did not say strike damage, it includes condis as well. That means if you have a condi that does 400 ticks on you, while this is on, it's gonna do only 200, okay? So, just to clarify that. Now here is the cool part, here is the cherry on the top. Striking an enemy while this fortification is active reduces the cooldown of this ability. Recharge time reduced 1 second. There is no cooldown or interval cooldown on the recharge time reduced. So you can continuously strike the enemy while it's on. Just try to hit them as much as possible with anything you've got. Even the pet attack counts. Even the pet bubble, the enveloping haze, the unleash pet tree also counts. Utilities count. Anything that you personally do counts. I don't think conditions when they proc count, like the ticks of them, but it says striking an enemy, so I believe it's only physical attacks, something that hits them physically. And you can reduce the cooldown of this elite by 100%. Okay? I'm gonna show you an example on a golem where I'm hitting multiple enemies and I'm reducing the cooldown of the elite. And then I use it, and then I again do a rotation to try and get the cooldown off, and I'm getting the cooldown off again. In group play, this elite is very strong, very strong. It has much value because if you continuously hit the enemies, you have a chance to reduce it significantly, which will give you a chance to use it again. So you're gonna get again all the buffs, all the boons, the damage reduction, have a chance to even again reduce the cooldown if you have stuff to throw on the enemy. So this is a very strong elite skill. It's very strong. It's highly recommended in group play. When it comes to solo roaming or outnumbered, it depends on your build, because some of my builds don't use it, but some of my builds do use it. So I will still recommend it for any gameplay that you do, except PvE, of course, because PvE you want as much damage as possible anyway. But for competitive, I would recommend it all the time. Okay, all the time I would recommend it. Put it in your options. Put it as a viable option in your build to think about it if you want to use it or something else. This has high priority, in my opinion, in all the competitive group plays. This has such good value that I don't really see a reason why to give it up. Yes, there are times where you would want Entangle or anything else, but of course it depends on your build, on what purpose you're building yourself for. If it's, for example, a 5v5 GVG or anything like that, it depends. But in like large group scale fights, in roaming or anything like that, I would go Force Fortification without a blink. I would just instantly slot it. I just started theory crafting the build, instantly slotting that. There is no question here. So again, very recommended elite spec, elite utility, elite skill. I'm getting confused already. This commentary is taking hours. So highly recommended. One of the strongest elites, defensive elites at least, that I've seen in this game, and I highly recommend it. Right, so we're gonna talk about positioning. I'm gonna try to explain it as best as I can, and I hope you will understand what I'm trying to push forward, what information I'm trying to pass on. And when playing Untamed, regardless of what weapon you're using and what build you're using, you're always trying to play around your enemy. Sometimes you will go into the enemy melee range and you're going to be in their face, but sometimes, well, most of the time, you're going to play around them. You don't want to stay too close to them, you want to constantly kite around. That is the key. That is the key movement of, in my opinion, the spec and overall the gameplay of Ranger, especially on Untamed. And moving around the enemy has a lot of its benefits. For example, all the AoE that happens around, you're completely ignoring it because you're just moving around the battlefield outside of AoE damage, outside of anything that happens near the downs and near enemies that are trying to res or trying to hit your ally. You're not in their range, you're not in their area, so you're quite safer than the others. And even though the others are going, they're going deep, they're hugging the enemy, they're straight on the enemy, it doesn't mean you're supposed to do that too. Even if you're playing with the group, you have a support, you have DPSers and things like that in your group, or if it's comped, if it's not, it doesn't matter. Even if you're a bunch of randoms, you need to do your part, okay? You do not need to play along with others. I have friends that they like to play support or things like that, and they constantly follow me around the battlefield. And this is wrong, because the way that I am playing is I'm running around the battlefield and I'm trying to drag attention away from us being stacked, and also I'm poking the enemy at the same time to try and not focus damage at one position. So whenever things get hot, I'm just getting out a bit and then coming back again when I see it's safer to go in, trying to deliver some damage, a bit of pressure, and then moving back a bit again, trying to not to go into chokes, trying to get away from chokes, trying to see my surroundings, try to see where everything is, so I can position myself better for an incoming engage or anything if the enemy retaliates. So when allies follow me, when I'm playing with my Untamed, it's at least the way I see it is quite bad, because I can stealth. I can run around. I have evades. I have leaps. I have immunities. I have stuff to survive with or to get away if something gets out of hand. But they don't necessarily have that. And by them doing that and following me around, that may lead them to their death. And then the entire fight might be lost, because now I'm getting even more outnumbered and I'm gonna have to deal with everything on my own. And that's why I'm trying to avoid all the time if someone follows me or anything like that. I'm trying to get them to a safer place or a safer situation, because I can't tell them in mid-combat, hey, stop following me. Also, they might take it the wrong way. So there is no time to explain unless you're on voice. So I'm trying to get them to somewhere safer or anything like that, while also trying to maintain my good position. Always trying to take fights into a ground where I feel I have more advantage. For example, anything that has slopes or anything like that, I will try to avoid, because of the leaps that Ranger has, regardless if it's with spear, the AoE damage from the spear ambush, the ambush from sword, the leaps from sword, anything like that. I know it can get buggy, not hit or anything like that when it comes to slopes, and anything that doesn't have good terrain, like even terrain or anything like that. So I'm trying to avoid those kind of places and lead them to a more even terrain, so I know my stuff will hit, I know my stuff will actually do something. And running around the battlefield has a lot of benefit, because the enemy will not be able to stand still and just spam his stuff on the ground. Like there are Ellis, there are Dragon Hunters, there are various classes that just put their stuff on the ground, and if you stay there, you're just taking a lot of damage. So moving around the battlefield allows you to actually mitigate that damage, avoid the enemy getting combos or anything that they can get out of it. For example, they put a trap down. If you don't walk there around the area, you're not triggering his trap. Whatever he has synchronizing with that trap is no longer working. If you're not gonna proc it, just remember it's there. Just don't walk around there and you wasted the utility or whatever it is that that trap was, or anything else that he put in there. So what I'm trying to pass on here is the positioning is very important in the fight. Regardless if you're a single player, if you're fighting against one and fighting outnumbered, fighting as a group, even though you're fighting as a group, you need to be aware of the positioning of your teammates as well. Because the teammates are the ones that are gonna be like, I'm not gonna call it a meat shield, but they are taking most of the fire. They're taking most of the attention. Sometimes you want to put yourself in the center of the attention to try and save them for the too much attention they've got, and then try to balance it out again. Try to open a window for them to enter so you can rotate it around. It doesn't mean you're gonna always have to throw yourself into the fire to sacrifice yourself or anything like that, but you need to be aware of the position that your allies are in. Where is the enemy around? Where is it spreading around? Where they can lead to? And where is your position? So you can try and push away that pressure that is being pushed on you and try to reverse it into the enemy. And once you notice the enemy is starting to fall back, that's where you can try and go in and test the field and see if you can actually use what you have right now and gain a new position in the battlefield. For example, you're being chased by a lot of players. Well, you're very few. There are many. You're gonna have to kite around. You can't stay near them. You have to kite around. But once you see them backing off and you get one of them, from here you can try to snowball the situation to your favor. And slowly you can get more into the group. Even though there are still many, you can get more into the group. Poke much frequently. Try to make them back off more frequently. Try to intimidate them, and slowly look for windows for better positioning until you can actually go full all in into the attack and push them off. And this takes time to practice, right? You don't do that instantly on the first time. It takes time to practice, right? And you're gonna have to get yourself into dirty situations until you're gonna learn good positioning, and in the situation that you are in, what is good positioning, and if there is any good positioning at all in any of the situations that you're in. For example, being chased in an enemy territory by multiple classes that have teleports, that have blinds, that have any kind of immobilizers or good defenses that can counter you, you're gonna have to kite around and not stay near them. But you're gonna have to look for weaknesses. Those weaknesses can lead you to greater and better positions. For example, when you notice a weak ally and you try to take him down and you manage to take him down, you back off immediately. First of all, you're removing some of the pressure because people will go and try to res that ally. And second of all, you try to see if you can go in and re-engage on that fight. And if you can re-engage, you take a more aggressive positioning at their tail side. There you can actually try and get more downs, and you can actually get a better positioning. Now, once you see the situation again escalates, you get out again. But if it escalates too much, you go out. And that's very important. Remember when to go out. Pet and awareness. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about pet and awareness overall, both for your pet and yourself. The pet is a very, very core part in Untamed compared to the other specs. Well, on Soul Beast, yeah, you're merging with the pet, but the other specs don't have that kind of luxury. When you merge with the pet, you unmerge and the pet is still, it's like brand new. So on Untamed is a bit different because you have full control over your pet. You can decide which ability it will do and when. Everything is on your control. And because of the Unleash Pet abilities, which expand your arsenal of abilities, it's very important to try and keep your pet alive. But Obviously, there are situations where there is no way you can save it. It's just completely full with condies because everything that affects you, such as the cleansing unleash and things like that, they don't affect your pet. So it will not cleanse condies from your pet. Okay? It's your pet is kind of like, you know, it's an NPC. It's getting post support. Okay, let's say it that way. It doesn't have the luxury of your stuff. So there are many times where it's gonna die. Right? It's gonna happen. You can't stop it. If it's getting full with condies, it doesn't matter what you're gonna try to do to save it. You can't save it. It will die unless you use something very specific to counter it, but it might cost you. So there will be times where your pet will die, and that happens. But you will need to try and keep the pet alive as much as possible, control where it is and why it's there. And sometimes also you're gonna have to sacrifice it for your needs because it is what it is. It's there for you and not you are there for it. Okay? So when you see a situation where you can get it down or turn the fight around or anything like that, but the pet can actually bring you that result, you're gonna have to take a decision. Will I sacrifice my pet for it? And from there I will try to try to get a better situation than what I am right now, or I'm gonna try to keep my pet alive and I'm just gonna waste my stuff to try and keep it alive. Use my healing skill, use a signet if I have any on my build, use a protect me if I have any on my build, use my elite skill if I took the force fortification to try and make it take less damage and anything like that. Sometimes it's not worth sacrificing stuff for your pet. When you see a situation where, for example, you're running away or anything like that, and your pet is running after you, quite away from danger, let's call that, because they're not focusing it, and it starts to lose a bit of HP or is low on HP, you can use your heal to try and keep it alive if you see that it's gonna survive this long, if you use your heal. But other than that, don't try to waste things on your pet. Although it's a very integral part in Untamed, it has a lot of uses. The Unleashed pet abilities are really strong. They're expanding your arsenal, they're expanding your capabilities in a fight. They're giving you some advantages. And on top of that, if your pet is dead, you cannot use the pet abilities, which, you know, it's annoying when you can't use your pet abilities when the pet is dead, the unleashed pet abilities. But picking the right pets are also important decisions when it comes to playing Untamed, because you need to pick a pet that has uses for you, that can do what you need it to do. For example, the Jaguar is a very strong feline. Okay, all the felines are strong, but the Jaguar especially is very strong because its abilities are doing good damage. The stock is increasing its critical chance and critical damage, and the stock can be used when the pet is dead as well. When the Jaguar dies, you can use the stock while it's dead, because it has no cast time and it doesn't say like the pet needs to do something. It just says that it gives stealth. It's not like the Jaguar conceals himself. It's not like that. It just gains stealth. So logically, according to the description, it makes sense that it works like that. But other pets, of course, you cannot use their abilities when the pet is dead. Either the Unleash abilities or the normal pet abilities. And as I said before, your pet is gonna die a lot. It will happen. Many rangers, either you play with them or you see them playing, you will see their pet dies a lot. And they reduce the cooldown of a dead pet from 60 seconds to 25 seconds, and that's really helping. That's really nice. I really feel the change, and it's really nice. I really like it. And you need to be aware of your pet positioning, what pet you use to use the abilities appropriately, combo with it properly. And like I said, if you're gonna have to sacrifice the pet for getting a downy or getting away from a fight, that's gonna have to happen. You can't always save it. You're gonna have to get the most out of it. It's a bit cool, you know, but it is what it is. It's there for you. It's not you're there for her. It's there for you. So choose your pet wisely. treat it wisely and use it wisely. Windows and combos. Now, I'm gonna talk shortly about Windows and combos, and no, not your operating system. Windows, at least in the way I see it, are the opportunities, the attack windows that you from time to time see when you're being chased, engaging an enemy, or see from the side. You see those moments, those perfect moments to attack. And those things are coming with experience. Experience both in your class and both in the enemy class. And when you know what you're engaging against, you're already preparing stuff in your head. You're already preparing the scenario, and you're already preparing various options. In case they will do this, you're gonna do this. In case they're gonna do this, you're gonna do this. In case you done this, but they done something to counter you or anything like that, you're gonna do this, and so on. Once you get familiar with your pets, with your weapons, with your utilities, once you know your traits, what your class can do, you are starting to create yourself your combos. Take for example like Street Fighter. When you go to Street Fighter and you pick a fighter, back then, I don't know how it is now, I didn't play Street Fighter for years. But back then, when you pick a fighter, you had the menu that tells you the combos of the fighter. It tells you all the various combos. So imagine something like this. You have all your various combos that you can use with your build, and you're already preparing in your head a scenario. When you engage an enemy, you're already preparing a scenario. Okay, I'm going to use this and this. I'm going to do this combo. If it fails, I'm going to use that combo. That combo doesn't have to be offensive. It can be a defensive, for example, like blasting a stealth or anything like that. Or sending your pet on the enemy with the bubble because the enemy is ranged and your attack failed or anything like that. So now you're countering him with the bubble because you failed to put pressure. So when you get more experience, you're going to see those windows and you're going to know how to react to them. Now, I'm trying to explain stuff as much as I can and as best as I can, but it's very hard for me to explain it because that's how my brain works and how I see things and how I see fights. I'm already preparing the scenario in my head, and I'm already preparing if the enemy uses A, I'm going to use B. If the enemy uses C, I'm going to try to use F, and things like that. Sometimes you see windows, but you are preparing the scenario, but you're saying, wait, something is wrong here. If I fail, it's getting too dangerous. Like, yes, I might have stealth or stab or anything like that, but it's way too serious, way too dangerous, and I might get into deep mud that I can't get out. So sometimes you would see the windows, but you need to judge if they're worth it or not. And once you know your combos, you're going to feel more comfortable engaging on those windows. But again, you need to judge which window is worth it, which is not. And if you decide not to take a combo, not to take a window, sorry, you're going to have to try and create another combo instead. Because you can't just walk around and, press random buttons until the enemy dies or something happens. You need to create the situation you want to happen. For example, you saw someone lays traps. You feel safe there. You observe, and you see he's feeling comfortable inside his traps. So you send your pet in because you know what you can do. You can teleport your pet and sacrifice it inside the traps, and it's going to give you the advantage of the opening surprise attack on the enemy. And once you do that, the enemy is getting surprised. Boom, melted. Yay, you successfully used the window. Great success, amazing. Continue forward, prepare the next scenario. Now, the enemy is going to try to res. What are you going to do about it? And things like that. I know I'm mumbling a lot, but once you will reach that state, you will see what I'm talking about and you will understand. You see a scenario, you're preparing it in your head, you're doing your combos, and bam, fight is over. Just like that. So, just to conclude everything in a small short summary. I know I mumbled a lot and maybe some things don't make sense to you, but it's just that's the way my brain works, and it's hard for me to pass on information. And I hope you got something. You got more information, better information, understood at least some stuff better than you did before. So you're gonna be able to try playing with your own Untamed whenever you will feel ready. And just to summarize everything, take care of your pet. Untamed is a very offensive spec. It's packed with a lot of damage. And the pet is a very core part in it, so you will need to use it wisely. You can just send it to die unless you send it to die for the greater good, let's call it that way. But learn to take care of it, learn to use it wisely so you're going to benefit from it properly. And learn about your weapons. Learn what each weapon does and what's the advantages and the disadvantages of each weapon. Learn about your utilities, whether if it's Untamed or Ranger, and learn to use them properly. Prepare your combos, prepare your arsenal, put your options on the table, and try to memorize them, try to learn them. And once you do, try to implement them in a fight. Try to use those combos, even though you might repeat the same combo 2 zillion times. It doesn't matter. Eventually, you're gonna expand your combo usage, and you're gonna use various combos. And sometimes you're gonna start a combo, cut it in the middle, and start a different combo because, a combination of 2 combos works perfectly, but you don't need all of it. Let's say, for example, I'm gonna throw a tiny example. A good combo is just stealthing, doing Owl's Flight on the enemy because it does a lot of damage, it's unblockable, it's piercing, and so on. You throw it and you immediately ambush with Spear. Because those 2 skills deal very high damage, it has very high burst potential. But you can try and combo it with different combos. For example, you can put your Spirit on the ground before doing that combo, because you can combo the Spirit with many things. You can combo it with the Spear Throw, you can combo it with the Ambush, you can combo it with your Serpent Strike, your Pounce. You can combo it with many things, or you just use it to daze the enemy or anything like that. To try and combo it with your pet Unleash skills for their CC advantage, what they get for doing a CC, for activating on a CC target. And you use your Spirit and then your Owl's Flight and then your Spear Ambush. Or differently, you use your Spirit, you use your Serpent Strike, and immediately you Pounce. Why? Because Pounce does more damage to CC'd or movement impaired enemies. By putting the Spirit, you're already proccing your Opening Strike on him, which will cause, first of all, a lot of damage, vulnerability on the enemy, and then it would put Cripple, because Opening Strike puts Cripple. So you're already putting Cripple on the enemy. By already launching yourself with Serpent Strike, you're immobilizing the enemy because he was crippled. When they're movement impaired, Serpent Strike immobilizes the enemy. So now, not only that the enemy is dazed, he's also crippled, and on top of that, is immobbed. So he's gonna have to break stun and cleanse those conditions to avoid getting hit by a 20% increased damage Pounce, okay, which can deal 5 digits, a lot. And it can also one shot. Like the highest I've ever gotten with it was 17 point something, but I didn't fully spec for damage at that time because I didn't want to spec up for damage. I was just running a fun build that I created, and which was, by the way, Nutbuster. The video is up if you want to check it in the channel. And the thing is, you can combo with various combos. But if you cut a combo, like you take a part of a combo and you combine it with a different combo to create a new combo, that can give you, that just expands your arsenal. But don't try to combine too many combos at the same time and chain them too fast, because then you're gonna run out of options, and then you're gonna run out of fume very fast. well, you're gonna run out of options very quickly. You're gonna run on fumes, and you're slowly gonna see, you're already seeing the scenario going downhill. So what I'm trying to get into is no one is perfect, right? No one is perfect, and things take practice. I wasn't like this when Untamed came out. I was horrible when Untamed came out, right? Although I did make my bomb build a few weeks when EOD came out. I already came up with the bomb build because I already saw the potential and I saw what it can do, and I prepared the bomb build, and it exists all these years with very, very minor changes that they done, which also made it stronger. And it took me time to reach what I am today. It took me a lot of time, but you will get there. I've played with many combos, I've played with many weapons, I've played with many various pets, I've played with many various utility combinations. I've run with spirits, I've run with signets, I've run with survival skills, I've run with traps. I've tried so many different variations to try and find what I like most and how they're interacting with each other, so I can prepare my options. If I have those kind of utilities, I know how I can play around them. And yeah, you know, practice makes perfect. If you don't practice, you're not gonna get better. So to summarize it all, hope you learned something. Hope I helped you. It took me a very long time to edit this video. This is a 2 hours long video, more than that. And I hope I helped you. I hope at least some of you want to start playing Untamed, or those that already know Untamed but still missed some information. I hope I brought you something new to your knowledge. And yeah, I will see you guys next time.